Rapidly advancing climate change is raising sea levels, forcing humanity to seek refuge in space. Decades pass as most of the population relocates to shelters built between Earth's and Moon's orbits. However, after the move, shelters 8, 12, and 13 unite, forming the Adrian Republic. They attack the remaining shelters, starting a decades-long war against the Allied force. Meanwhile, on Earth, the humans left behind are making their living producing weapons and parts for war robots. The Army's best soldier is the legendary Captain Jung E. She awakens in an abandoned city after an explosion, surrounded by robots attacking her. Jung E defends herself with precise shots and the clever use of a grappling hook attached to her weapon. She easily defeats the humanoid robots, but a new, more resilient quadrupedal model appears. Jung E strategically hides and shoots the robot, setting it on fire. The robot, however, has fire extinguishers and quickly recovers. Jung E then uses her grappling hook to stack metal beams, bringing them down on the robot to immobilize it. Hiding behind a car for the final attack, she is distracted by a small doll hanging from the rearview mirror. This distraction allows the robot to shoot her. Jung E is thrown back and, upon seeing her broken hand, discovers she is an android. Suddenly, the city disappears. The real Jung E died in combat years ago. In reality, a group of scientists, led by Jung E's daughter, Seo-hyun, uses a copy of her mother's brain to create the perfect soldier. They try to replicate her last battle in simulations, but the android Jung E always loses at the same point. The team, which also includes the project director, Sang-hoon, gives a presentation to the military's top brass. The director tries to sell the project, explaining how they're mapping Jung E's brain to develop the most advanced artificial intelligence, but the military isn't impressed, as the android hasn't yet overcome the simulation. They claim the war would have already been won if the real Jung E hadn't failed. Without a solution to the problem, the government won't fund the project. After the presentation, Sang-hoon reassures Seo-hyun, stating that she has his full support and that the president expects great results from her. He knows that Jung E's daughter was taken in by the company as a child after losing her mother. Seo-hyun works with rookie Jae-kyung to analyze the latest model. They reactivate Jung E's brain, which, despite still considering itself human, despairs at finding itself in a robotic body. The pain consumes her, but Seo-hyun deactivates the sensors, turning her despair into fury. Jung E demands to know what they did to her. Because the brain copy is so damaged, Seo-hyun orders its destruction. Jae-kyung, a fan of Jung E, calls her a hero, but Seo-hyun reveals that her mother only went to war as a mercenary to pay for treatment for a tumor in her lung. Seo-hyun's surgery took place on the same day her mother died. She wonders if her mother regretted sacrificing herself, and Jae-kyung suggests she ask the android, since the brain copy shares memories. Seo-hyun considers the idea but seems fearful of the answer. Returning home by train, Seo-hyun observes a mother and her son, remembering the last day she saw her own mother. Jung E hugged her before leaving for battle, promising to return and giving her a good luck hug. After the annual ethics test, which everyone takes to prove they are not androids, Seo-hyun visits her doctor. He confirms that the tumor in her lung has returned. She has only 3 months left to live. The surgery and her mother's sacrifice were in vain. The doctor explains that the best option is to copy her brain to a prosthetic body, but the law only protects those who choose option A, which is extremely expensive. Option B is cheaper but entails the loss of civil rights. Option C, chosen by Jung E to pay for her daughter's surgery, is free but does not consider the person human. The copied brain becomes the property of the company, which can make thousands of clones. Seo-hyun thinks about it and remembers that the company gave her an action figure of her mother, promising that she would be a hero forever. However, she still questions whether it was the best choice. She ends the day visiting her mother's comatose body, which is kept in a special chamber. The next day, Sang-hoon, seeking a different outcome, orders the android Jung E to be wounded in the leg before the simulation. The pain is intense, and the android is easily subdued. Her will to fight diminishes, but just as the enemy is about to kill her, a new area of her brain lights up. She gets up and defeats the robot with her fists. Sang-hoon is elated and decides to present the new discovery to the top management, but the president is not there. The team is greeted by the new head of the product development department. Sang-hoon, who has never seen this department, fears that weapons development will be curtailed. Without answers, they are dismissed. A few days later, the president appears at the laboratory. Sang-hoon and Seo-hyun find him. The director is actually an android. The president, who created Sang-hoon from a copy of his own brain, reveals important news. The war is over, and weapons are no longer needed. He says Jung E's project wasn't useless, as the research helped develop AIs, which will now be used for service androids. The president confesses that he didn't have the courage to live in a machine, as it would never feel real. Seo-hyun begs to continue her mother's project, but the president refuses. The project must be shut down, and Jung E's team must organize the data. The android continues to die at the same point in the simulation. Sang-hoon, enraged, activates the android and cuts off her arm to try to activate the brain's pain zone. Seo-hyun can no longer bear her mother's suffering and shuts down the system, prompting an enraged Sang-hoon to threaten her with a gun. Before he can go too far, another employee calls him to see the president. Seo-hyun then asks her team to gather all the collected data. After a while, she reviews the data, ignoring the pain in her lung, and discovers that her mother's brain was exported one last time without her consent. Investigating, she finds Jae-kyung in a room with an android dressed as Jung E. He explains that he was only following orders. With the end of the war, the company now creates companions, and Jung E, with her Type C brain, is the most popular model. Devastated, Seo-hyun locks herself in the lab to spend time with the android. Sang-hoon is there, depressed because he thinks the project was cancelled because of him. Seo-hyun ignores him, enters the android's chamber, and deactivates her pain sensors. She tells her mother that she has been rescued, is injured, and that she will help her die peacefully. As Seo-hyun is about to shut her down, the area of the brain they've been searching for finally activates. Jung E asks if her daughter survived the surgery. Seo-hyun cries, realizing that both times this area activated, it was when her mother feared she would die without knowing about her. Her daughter comforts her mother, telling her the surgery was a success. Relieved, Jung E confesses that she feels guilty because, in the battle, she lost the doll her daughter gave her, her good luck charm. This was the distraction that caused her to fail. Seo-hyun shuts down the android and collapses, screaming her own guilt. The next day, she requests a final simulation. After the team leaves, she erases the human part of Jung E's brain and whispers in her ear, explaining everything that will happen to her after the simulation if they don't act. The final simulation begins, and Jung E dies at the same point. Jae-kyung notices something strange. The brain's response has weakened. Sang-hoon doesn't care, as the project has been cancelled. As the android is taken away, Sang-hoon requests a slow-motion replay of the scene and realizes that Jung E faked her death. The director triggers an alarm, and Jung E knocks out the staff. Seo-hyun rushes back to the lab and erases the original project data. Jung finds a room full of robots resembling her. She is attacked by security robots. Despite being outnumbered, she defeats them one by one. When one of them attacks her from behind, Seo-hyun appears and deactivates the robot in time. Jung E trusts Seo-hyun's voice. A new wave of robots arrives. They let a companion android take Seo-hyun, shoot Jung E, and upon examining the body, discover it is empty. The cameras reveal that Seo-hyun transferred the copy of her mother's brain into a security robot. Seo-hyun drags Jung E onto a train, but Sang-hoon waits for them. The train departs. Sang-hoon accuses Seo-hyun of ingratitude. Jung E is shocked to learn that Seo-hyun is his daughter. To get revenge, Sang-hoon shoots Seo-hyun, and Jung E, now knowing the truth, attacks him and takes his gun. He gets up, but upon seeing his reflection, he discovers it's an android. Seo-hyun calls him the president's toy, driving him mad. He activates his android body's abilities and attacks Jung E. The fight spreads, throwing bodies around the train. Sang-hoon throws Jung E out a window, but she gets back in through another. Security robots arrive on a parallel train and join the cars. Jung E defeats them. Sang-hoon grabs her with a grappling hook. Seeing her daughter in danger, Jung E becomes more aggressive. She destroys the remaining robots and throws Sang-hoon off the train, but he manages to get back on. When the train reaches the city, the pressure on the tracks becomes unbearable. Seo-hyun grabs one of the guns and throws a grappling hook at her mother. Jung E grabs it and returns to the first car. They let the second car fall with Sang-hoon. The train stops in a mountainous area. Jung E wants to treat Seo-hyun's wound, but the police are approaching. Seo-hyun explains that she doesn't have long to live. She urges Jung E to run away and live her own life. After hesitating, Jung E agrees, hugs Seo-hyun, and caresses her cheek, just like when she was a child. Jung E runs away as Seo-hyun dies, feeling she has finally found peace. Jung E runs free through the mountains, far from any human who might want to use her again. If you enjoyed the summary, please like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.